All right, so Dennis Richardson's running for governor, and I think he's a great guy, and I think he resembles me a lot in that he's both a social conservative and a fiscal conservative. So he's pro-life. He's known to be a family man. I'll tell you a little story about Dennis Richardson. When I was chair of the Polk County Republican Party, usually when you announce somebody, you give their biography, and you say, well, this is Dennis Richardson, and he went to school here, and he did this. And so what I did was I kind of did a little joke. I said, well, I'm going to name all these things about him, and one of them's not going to be true, and you guys have to guess which one's not true. So I went, and there was things like he was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam, which he was, and then I said, and he had 7 daughters. He has 7 daughters, right? And so anyway, that happened to be the one that was false, because as you know, he has 8 daughters, right? And so,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he does. He has 8 daughters. So that was the one that was supposed to sound kind of silly, but it was true in the opposite direction. But anyway, Dennis Richardson's a great guy, and I sure hope he wins. We've had over 3 decades of one-party rule in the governor's mansion. So we need to change that. Just if nothing else, just to get a new set of winds blowing through there. But Dennis Richardson's known as a budget guy and a fiscal conservative, and he's also a social conservative. And so I've been glad to work for his campaign. So.
And just a nice, nice, honest man. Okay, well, maybe then I have an in. Then you can have him come on the show. He's really busy now.
Oh yeah.
Maybe as governor, I'll get together.
Maybe
with him.
in November, maybe I'll see what I can do.
Okay, good, yeah. Hey, but I do on my website. I do have a interview I did with him. So that was a couple years ago, before he was a candidate, when he had more time. And I loved him. So next on the list, Congressman.
So is Tootie Smith, I live in the 5th congressional district, so I'm kind of
okay.
Yeah, in Polk County, Polk County is entirely in the 5th congressional district, so we're kind of focused on that. Now, Jason Yates is a great candidate too, and so he's got a great career ahead of him, and it's exciting to have someone who's a serious small businessman. He has a pest application business there, and but
Tootie Smith is your.
Right, and Jason's a really hard worker. Tootie Smith is she's a former legislator, and she's a current Clackamas County commissioner, and so she's got a lot of experience. And the thing I like about her also is her personal background is in forestry. She's got she's owns forest land, and so that's a big part of the economy of our state that's broken right now. So it'd be nice to have somebody in Congress. I get asked a lot of questions. What are you going to do? Let us cut the trees and all this kind of stuff. And you kind of have to say, as a state legislator, there's some things we can do, but really that's really a federal problem. So that needs to be dealt with.
Federal land, yeah.
Yeah. So
which is a big problem, that the federal government owns as much land as they do.
Yeah, it is. That is a real big problem. I wonder why. I'm a hunter, so I get out to tromping through some of those federal lands sometimes, and it's kind of disheartening to see that they're not very well taken care of. And I'm kind of puzzled by the fact that the federal government wouldn't turn over some of those to the states, or maybe put some of them up for sale. How about that for at least a partial solution to the deficit, is to start to sell off some of those lands or whatever, put them back in the
to somebody else other than China.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's a scary thing that they're doing, the Bundy Ranch and things like that, but we'll talk about something. U.S. Senate?
So Monica Webby is running against Jeff Merkley, and I wasn't supporting Monica Webby, Dr. Webby, in the primary. I worked for Jason Conger, but she, Jeff Merkley's so bad that almost anybody would be better than her. So I've not been happy with her stand on life, and then recently on marriage, and that's too bad. But that's kind of the nature of politics. Is you don't always get your first choice, and then sometimes you get put with not so great choices, and you just do the best you can. So I'm certainly going to vote for Dr. Webby, and she would certainly make a better senator than Jeff Merkley. So
yep. And I'll pray about that one before I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know. Yeah. I understand the whatever. But
it is hard, and it's one thing to say, well, I don't like the way this guy stands on land use or something like that, and I can darken the oval for somebody who's not perfect on land use. But for those kind of issues, those go a little deeper. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and she says, we could get so caught up in it. But at first it was like kind of it was the life issue, and when she was running in the primary, and then all of a sudden she dropped the bomb on the marriage issue, and it's like, to me that's just completely the kind of thing that I hate about politics, that people don't like about politics, is just tell us where you stand and let us vote.
Polk County, there's 3 House districts. So the first one is House District 10, which is kind of the coast, and it takes a little chunk out of Polk County there. And that one, the Democrat is running unopposed, so there's not much intelligent to say about that. I feel bad as the county chair that that I feel some responsibility that I should have worked harder to field a candidate at least.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so then the other one is, so there's 60 House districts in the state of Oregon, and the one with the closest registration, i.e. the closest Democrat-Republican, is House District 20, which is mostly in Polk County. The last time I checked, it was like 33 voters out of 38,000 or something like that was the difference.
Oh,
so
wow.
between the Democrats and Republicans. So that's the closest district in the state out of 60. And that's House District 20, which is West Salem, Monmouth, Independence, and a little bit of the other side of the river in Salem there. And in that district, we have a knockdown, drag-out fight between Paul Evans is the Democrat. He's a former mayor of Monmouth. And then Kathy Goss is a former Detroit superintendent of public instruction, I think.
Is she conservative?
She's fairly conservative. Yeah,
Okay.
she's not. She's a little bit more moderate, but yeah, she's fairly conservative. So and certainly, again, way better than the alternative. So yeah, and so she's running in House District 20 there. So
Okay.
that was, but even before I ran, I had my eye on that race because Vicki Berger, that's Vicki Berger's old seat, and she announced she wasn't going to be running anymore. And knowing that, it was
And she was a Republican?
Vicki Berger was a Republican. Okay. She's let's say a very moderate Republican.
Okay.
Is that polite to
Yeah,
say that?
okay.
So I was hoping to that we could put a conservative in that seat, and Kathy Goss is fairly conservative, so that's
Okay.
good.
And then you are running in House District 23.
Right.
And, are you? Is your area pretty Republican?
Yeah, so the difference is about 8.5 percentage points, the Republican advantage over the Democrats. So it's a fairly Republican district. So the district takes in, it's got Dayton and Amity, and then it's kind of, I describe the district as, it's like a chocolate chip cookie where some kid wanted to just eat the chocolate chips out of the cookie there. So it's not McMinnville, and it's not Newburgh, and it's not West Salem, and it's not Independence, and it's not Monmouth, and it's not Salem, and it's not Philomath, and it's not Corvallis, and so it's, and there's a few cities in it. There's Jefferson and Monroe and Amity and Dayton and Adair Village, and Dallas, of course, is the big city in the district. But other than that, it's just a lot of rural areas, so it tends to be fairly conservative. So, and I'm running against, her name is Wanda Davis. She's a former chair of the Polk County Democrat Party, so you have 2 former Polk County party heads going after each other there, and neither one of us have ever held public office before, so it's kind of a little bit of a fair match, at least in that sense there. And then there's a libertarian who I don't know well, and then a Pacific Green candidate who's run before.
Okay, so House District 23, vote for Mike Nearman. So
I would say so.
a conservative. So, okay, and now, is there a senator running in your area?
Jackie Winters she's the senator in Senate District 10, and she is running unopposed. She had the luxury of being.
And she's a Republican?
Right, she's a Republican,
Okay.
and she's unopposed in the primary and then unopposed in the general election.
Is she a conservative?
I would say yes. And she'll be a little bit all over the place on stuff. She'll vote kind of weird sometimes, but I would say by and large she's a conservative, so we're lucky to have her.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, good, all right. And now I guess we're getting down to the commissioner race, is that what's next?
Right, so we had 2 commissioner seats up. One of them got settled early on. That was Mike Ainsworth, so he got 50%, so he's in. And then the other one is Craig Pope versus Danny Jaffer. Craig Pope is a Republican, and Danny Jaffer's a very lefty Democrat. So it's a nonpartisan race, but those they are.
But people just still care. Yeah, I mean, you get the Republicans usually on one side and the Democrats endorsing somebody else, and so you.
Right, and so,
obviously endorse Pope.
Yeah, Craig Pope, he's good he's conservative on land use issues and things like that. I've criticized him a little bit for not being such a good fiscal conservative. I kind of went toe-to-toe with him. We had the public safety levy in Polk County, which he put on the ballot and I opposed, and it ended up losing. But he's certainly head and shoulders above his opponent, so I would definitely recommend a vote for him.